I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5?
How would you describe who you are now as a person? Are you the same person that you've always been? Have you changed a lot?
I don't know. I don't look at him. He's different. He's somebody else.
At 95, Clint Eastwood lives differently than most people expect.
My dad eats a lot of salmon. He's big into salmon.
Yeah, but your dad's like 100 years old. He's doing great.
He's 91.
Did he just turn yesterday?
Yeah.
The woman who lived with him for 13 years came home one day to find herself completely erased from his life.
Because each time he would put his arm up to lean over and pull me for a kiss, and the power, he was so strong, he almost wanted to go into his wrestling act, and so I had to be very careful.
His own children discovered he was their father through tabloid magazines, not family conversations. Some didn't learn the truth until they were adults.
The legendary actor Clint Eastwood on the red carpet. With him are all his children.
Now at 95, the industry that made him billions is trying to bury him. But the real story isn't about Hollywood's betrayal. It's about the shocking way he's controlled every aspect of his world for decades, and what that's cost the people who trusted him most. Clint Eastwood has at least 8 children with 6 different women, but most people don't know this because he kept many of them secret for years. Some of his own kids didn't even know he was their father until they were adults. His longest secret relationship was with Roxanne Tunis, a stunt woman he was involved with for 14 years while married to his first wife, Maggie Johnson. Everyone on movie sets knew about the relationship, but when Tunis had his daughter Kimber in 1964, Eastwood made it clear the child couldn't publicly acknowledge him as her father. Kimber grew up watching her father become famous while having to keep their relationship secret. She couldn't tell friends at school that the guy in the cowboy movies was her dad. This went on for decades until tabloids finally exposed the truth.
Everybody kept saying to me, your name can get you through the door, to open the door, but if you can't deliver, they're going to remember who you are.
Flight attendant Jocelyn Reeves had 2 children with Eastwood in the 1980s, Scott and Catherine. But here's the unusual part. On both of their birth certificates, where it asks for the father's name, it says father declined. Eastwood knew they were his kids, but legally refused to be listed as their father. Scott Eastwood is now a successful actor, but he grew up not understanding why his famous father's name wasn't on his birth certificate. The truth only came out when a tabloid broke the story in 1990. Then there's Lori Murray, who lived 64 years without knowing Clint Eastwood was her biological father. She was adopted as a baby and raised in Seattle. It wasn't until 2018 that she appeared at a movie premiere and introduced herself to the world as Lori Eastwood. Frances Fisher, who dated Eastwood in the early 1990s, had his daughter Francesca in 1993. She later described their relationship as being with someone who compartmentalized everything, including his own children. The pattern is clear. Eastwood kept his personal relationships separate from each other. The women rarely knew about each other. The children didn't meet their half-siblings, and the public had no idea how many families he actually had. His children often found out about each other through news reports rather than family introductions. Multiple kids grew up thinking they were the only secret child, not knowing there were others in the same situation. Even now at 95, he's reportedly in a new relationship, though his girlfriend hasn't been publicly identified. The same pattern of privacy continues, just like it has for 7 decades. Most of his children seem to have made peace with this unusual family structure, but it created a complicated dynamic where siblings who share a father might barely know each other. Some have successful careers in entertainment, while others have stayed out of the public eye entirely. The secrecy wasn't just about protecting his career. It seems to be how Eastwood naturally handles personal relationships. He keeps different parts of his life in separate compartments, and that includes his own family members. Clint Eastwood owns a lot of real estate, but he uses it in ways that might surprise you. His properties aren't just investments. They're tools for controlling his environment and managing his relationships. His main home is a $9.75 million mansion in Pebble Beach, California. This is the same house where Sandra Locke lived for years during their relationship. When they broke up in 1989, Eastwood had the locks changed while she was at work directing a movie. She came home to find her belongings packed and stored. The Pebble Beach house sits on 4.7 acres with high walls, giving him complete privacy. But that's just one of several properties he owns in the area. He also has a place at the exclusive Tahama Golf Club, which is so private that most people need special permission just to visit. Former staff members say working there involves strict rules. Employees can't speak directly to Eastwood and have to communicate through other people instead. Here's something interesting. Eastwood bought a neighbor's house for $3.2 million, mainly because he didn't like the color they painted their fence. He spent over $3 million just so he wouldn't have to look at a fence color he found annoying. He's done this kind of thing multiple times, buying properties around his main homes, not because he needs them, but because he wants to control what happens nearby. It's an expensive way to avoid dealing with neighbors he might not like. In Carmel by the Sea, where he was mayor from 1986 to 1988, he owns restaurants and a hotel. This gives him significant influence over who can do business in his hometown and what kind of activities happen there. Former business partners say he's very particular about who gets to work at his properties and what they can do there. The rules are detailed and strictly enforced, with employees required to sign agreements that prevent them from talking about their work there. When relationships end, the real estate situation can get complicated. Multiple ex-partners discovered that properties they thought they jointly owned were actually held in trusts or companies that gave them no legal rights. Dina Eastwood found this out during their divorce proceedings. Despite being married for years, she learned that assets she considered shared were actually controlled entirely by him through various legal structures. The property empire serves practical purposes too. He can move between different locations depending on his mood or what he's working on, and each place offers complete privacy from the public. At 95, maintaining all these properties requires a large staff, but the turnover rate is reportedly high. The working conditions and strict rules make it difficult for employees to stay long-term, so there's constant hiring and training of new people. The real estate collection reflects his approach to life in general. Everything is carefully controlled and organized to eliminate surprises or situations he can't manage. Clint Eastwood just experienced something that rarely happens to Hollywood legends. His own studio basically buried his latest movie. Warner Brothers released Juror 2 in fewer than 50 theaters after working with him for 50 years and making billions from his films.
It was raining, and I hit something.
Juror 2 earned strong reviews with a 93% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics liked it and early audiences responded well. But instead of giving it a wide release like his previous films, Warner Bros. Treated it almost like they wanted it to disappear. The limited release was so small that many cities didn't get the movie at all. New York had showings at only 4 locations, Los Angeles had 5, and Chicago got just 1 theater. For comparison, most independent films get wider releases than this. Industry sources say the decision came from the top levels of Warner Bros., and it wasn't based on the movie's quality or potential to make money. The film was originally planned as a direct-to-streaming release, but they added the limited theatrical run later. Warner Bros. Won't even report the box office numbers for the film, which is unusual. Most studios announce their weekend earnings, but they're keeping Juror 2 results private, probably to avoid embarrassing headlines about low grosses from such a limited release. During filming, there were several days when cast and crew showed up to work only to be told they weren't shooting that day due to Eastwood's health issues. At 94, he's dealing with physical challenges that sometimes interfere with the production schedule. The entertainment press has also been unusually quiet about the film. Journalists who used to compete for Eastwood interviews aren't covering this movie much, and trade publications that normally track his projects closely have given it minimal attention. Some industry observers think this treatment reflects broader changes in Hollywood. Studios now focus mainly on big-budget franchise films that can make hundreds of millions worldwide. Mid-budget dramas for adult audiences, which Eastwood specializes in, don't fit the current business model as well. There might also be concerns about working with a 94-year-old director, even one with Eastwood's track record. Production delays due to health issues cost money, and studios are less willing to take those risks than they used to be. The foreign release was different. Juror 2 got normal theatrical distribution in other countries and performed reasonably well, especially in France, where Eastwood has always been popular with critics and audiences. Despite the limited US release, the movie has found success on streaming. When it became available on Max in December 2024, it quickly climbed to the top of their most watched lists, proving there was audience interest that the theatrical release didn't satisfy. Warner Bros.' treatment of Juror 2 represents a significant change in how they handle Eastwood's films. Previous releases like American Sniper, Sully, and The Mule all got wide theatrical distribution and performed well at the box office. This might be his last film as a director, which makes the limited release even more notable. If it is his final movie, Warner Bros. Essentially buried the end of one of Hollywood's longest and most successful partnerships. Clint Eastwood follows a very specific daily routine that's quite different from what most people his age do. His habits are disciplined and haven't changed much over the years, even as he's gotten older. His breakfast is the same every day: salmon and brown rice. His son Scott mentioned this in an interview, saying, "My dad does not eat for pleasure. He eats salmon and brown rice for breakfast. It's not a typical breakfast, but it's packed with protein and nutrients."
My dad eats a lot of salmon. He's big into salmon.
Yeah, but your dad's like 100 years old. He's doing great.
91.
Did he just turn yes?
He's been following a low-fat, high-protein diet for decades. His doctor has said he avoids fat, takes antioxidant supplements regularly, and gets plenty of sleep. These habits started when he was younger after his father died of heart disease at a relatively young age. Eastwood works out regularly and has been lifting weights since he was 19. Even at 95, he maintains an exercise routine, though it's probably less intense than when he was younger. His son Scott described him as a machine about exercise. He practices transcendental meditation, which he's been doing since the 1970s. He meditates twice a day, often even while working on film sets. This practice is supposed to help reduce stress and promote mental clarity. His schedule is very structured. Meals are served at specific times, and he keeps regular hours for sleeping and waking up. People who have worked with him say he doesn't like unexpected changes to his routine. He avoids processed foods and added sugar. When talk show host Jimmy Kimmel asked him about eating junk food like nachos or chicken wings, Eastwood made it clear that those aren't part of his diet. Despite being 95, he still golfs regularly when his health allows it. He's been a longtime participant in the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am tournament, though he missed some recent years due to health concerns. His approach to food is practical rather than enjoyable. Besides the salmon and brown rice breakfast, he focuses on lean proteins like chicken and lots of vegetables, especially dark leafy greens like spinach and kale. He drinks water instead of sugary beverages and limits alcohol, though he might have an occasional glass of wine. This disciplined approach to eating and drinking has been consistent for decades. Sleep is important to his routine. He gets regular rest, which his doctor says is often neglected, but crucial for maintaining health into advanced age. He doesn't stay up late or keep irregular hours. The meditation practice helps him handle stress, which is important given the pressures of filmmaking and his various business interests. He's been doing transcendental meditation long enough that it's become automatic. His physical condition at 95 is genuinely impressive. Recent photos show him looking alert and mobile, though he does move more slowly than in previous years, and sometimes uses assistance when walking longer distances. The routine works for him, but it's very restrictive compared to how most people live. Everything is planned and controlled, with little room for spontaneity or indulgence. Whether this level of discipline is necessary or just his personal preference is hard to say. At 95, Clint Eastwood lives differently than most people his age. While many men his age are in nursing homes or need constant care, he's still making movies and managing multiple businesses. Though his pace has obviously slowed down and recent events have taken a toll on him, his health has been a growing concern. After not being seen in public for over 450 days, he made a rare appearance in March 2024 at an event with primatologist Jane Goodall in his hometown of Carmel by the Sea. People who saw him said he looked alert, but noticeably more frail than in previous years. Sources close to him say he's lost significant weight and now has a pronounced hunchback that makes walking more difficult. The biggest blow came in July 2024, when his longtime girlfriend, Christina Sandera, died suddenly at age 61 from cardiac arrhythmia, essentially a heart attack.
Clint Eastwood's longtime girlfriend, Christina Sandera, has died.
They had been together for 10 years after meeting when she worked as a hostess at his Mission Ranch Hotel and Restaurant in Carmel. Unlike his previous relationships, this one seemed more stable and private. They made their red carpet debut at the 2015 Academy Awards and appeared together at premieres for Sully, The Mule, and Richard Jewell. Christina's death reportedly hit him harder than expected. She had been a steady, caring presence during his 80s and 90s, helping him manage his daily routine and providing the kind of companionship that didn't come with the complications of his earlier relationships. At 94, losing someone who had become such an integral part of his life was devastating. Just 3 months later, more family drama erupted when his daughter Francesca was arrested on felony domestic violence charges in October 2024. She was driving around Beverly Hills with her boyfriend when they got into an argument that turned physical. Police saw visible injuries on her boyfriend and arrested her, setting bail at $50,000. The charges were eventually dropped due to insufficient evidence and the boyfriend's refusal to cooperate. But the incident added stress to an already difficult year. Sources close to the family say Eastwood feels that things are out of control in a way they weren't before. At his age, dealing with a girlfriend's sudden death and a daughter's legal troubles has left him feeling overwhelmed. Friends worry about his increasing reclusiveness and diminishing energy levels. The physical demands of directing Juror 2 were clearly challenging for him. There were at least 3 days during production when cast and crew showed up only to be told they weren't filming due to his health issues. Co-star Phil Bedrin later said he wondered during filming whether Eastwood had the power to keep his production running and get finished because of his age. Despite these challenges, he completed the film, which might be his final work as a director. The movie stars Nicholas Hoult and deals with moral dilemmas, themes that have interested Eastwood throughout his career. Ironically, Francesca has a supporting role in the film, making her arrest particularly awkward timing for the family. His daily routine continues but requires more assistance than before. The strict schedule of meals, exercise, and meditation that has defined his life for decades is harder to maintain without help. Staff turnover at his properties remains high, partly because caring for a 95-year-old with specific demands is challenging work. By late 2024, he was reportedly seen with a new girlfriend, though her identity hasn't been revealed. This follows his lifelong pattern of quickly moving into new relationships after previous ones end, even at 95. Some family members worry about whether new people in his life have his best interests at heart or are attracted to his wealth and fame. The social isolation he's always preferred has become more pronounced. With Christina gone, he has fewer close personal relationships than ever. His compartmentalized approach to family means he doesn't have the support network that most people his age rely on during difficult times. Financially, he remains secure. Decades of successful films and smart real estate investments mean money isn't a concern. His various properties and business interests generate enough income to maintain his lifestyle and pay for the increasing care he needs. The question of what happens next looms large. If Juror 2 really is his last film, he'll need to adjust to a life without the work that has defined him for over 70 years. For someone who has stayed busy constantly, retirement at 95 might be the most difficult challenge he's faced. His 8 children from 6 different women will eventually need to sort out his estate and decide what kind of relationships they want with each other. The compartmentalized family structure he created works while he's alive to manage it, but could become complicated when he's gone. At 95, Eastwood represents the end of an era in Hollywood. He's one of the last connections to the industry's golden age, having worked steadily from the 1950s through massive changes in how movies are made and distributed. Whether he makes another film or not, his current lifestyle of strict routines and controlled environments will probably continue as long as his health allows. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.